Hello and welcome to Psychology Works. I'm Dr. Greenaway, and this series of episodes is focusing on adult ADHD. Because this is the first episode, I want to give you some tips and some tools so you can get started right away so you can already start seeing some improvements. You're going to see a huge reduction in the problems that ADHD is causing in your life. Your time management is going to be better, you're going to be more efficient, you're going to be less stressed and anxious, you're going to be upsetting people less because you won't be forgetting things or overbooking things. Everything I talk about is going to be what we call evidence-based. Evidence-based means that it has undergone a series of rigorous investigation in clinical trials, and these strategies have been shown to be effective. You should have a notebook with you and something to write with, because the things I am talking about, I would like you to write them down so that when you finish with the video, you'll start applying the things that I talk about. We are going to be starting an organization system, and it has 3 parts to it. And when they fit together, you're going to see some amazing things happening. But the first thing is I want you to start thinking about the day as a series of hours and minutes connected together, almost like a loaf of bread with the slices. So the loaf of bread is the day, the slices are the hours throughout the day that are going by. And then I want you to overlay on that idea tasks, things you're doing, behaviors, things you're getting done. A lot of times you ask people, what did you do this weekend? And they'll say, I didn't do anything. That is literally impossible. You're always doing something. So I want you to not only think of your day as a series of hours and minutes connected together, but I want you to also think of your day as a series of tasks that are occurring. Even if that task is sitting and watching TV or listening to the radio or going for a walk, things that people will sometimes call nothing because they're not really producing anything. It doesn't feel productive. But even if you are going to schedule some downtime to take a nap or to relax, you should still think of that as a planned task or activity, and a very important one. First thing we're going to want to have is a master to-do list. I don't mean a bunch of sticky notes or several books in different places with things that you're putting down. It can be on paper, it could be an index card or a notebook, or it can be on an electronic device. But you got to have something where you're putting your ideas down. The ideas can be totally unrelated, and they can also be differing in their amount of time they take. So you might have things like get a haircut or make dinner reservation, little simple things like that that can be done relatively quickly and simply. Or they might be things like start finding a new job or apply to college, things like that, where you're not just going to finish that in an hour and you can't just schedule it in one time slot in a calendar. So there's going to be this master to-do list, a bunch of disjointed items that you don't want to forget. You're going to see in a moment how they will come together and become organized. The second tool that you need, absolutely, is the calendar. A lot of people will tell me that they got the calendar, they started using it, then they stopped using it, and they don't regularly use it, and it hasn't been much help to them. But when I ask them a little bit further, it does turn out that the times where they used the calendar, they actually were more productive and made less careless errors, forgot things, didn't overbook. We're going to talk in a moment about how to make sure that you are using this calendar. There's a strategy for that too that's going to be part of this episode. So you've got the master to-do list, you've got your calendar, and the calendar should be a week view. A month view will be okay. You can maybe use that as a secondary calendar, but you want to definitely be able to see either a daily view or a weekly view so that you can really narrow in on what's going on that particular day or that particular week. Again, it can be paper that you open up and you can see the columns for Monday through Sunday, and each column is broken up into minutes and hours, or you can use an electronic calendar. The other thing you should have that kind of goes along with calendar. I don't list it as one of the steps, but it does help in being able to see the day as a series of minutes and hours. I'm just going to throw it in here on the side, is a watch. I know every device has a clock on it, and that's helpful, and there should be clocks on your walls, but if you have a watch, it's so much easier to do that. The third part of this new organization system that's going to change your life is what we call the task deconstruction. This can also be a notebook on paper, or it can be an app on a device or a document on a computer. But we want a place where we can do what we call task deconstruction. So let me talk for a moment about what is task deconstruction. Task deconstruction is where you take a task that sounds like one thing, but it really is not one thing. It's a whole list of things. For example, clean my house, clean my apartment, do the yard work, finish this science project. All of these things sound like one item, but they are really a series of tasks. And this is what causes procrastination. When somebody feels overwhelmed, they're not sure where to begin, they feel like they're going to be muddling through it as they go, and they're not really sure quite what's involved or what's expected. This can be daunting, and it causes people to shy away from it, and they keep procrastinating until the deadline is the next day. Then all of a sudden there's this burst of motivation, and they're ready to get started on this task that is much longer than the amount of time that they have. You write the name of the task at the top of the piece of paper or the whiteboard or whatever it is you're doing it on, and you think about it, and you designate time to sit and do nothing but think about the task that you're going to break down. And you know all the steps. If you were quizzed on it, you'd be able to answer them. But to have it written down so that you can visually see the steps, and each step should look pretty simple, pretty manageable. The hard part is the planning it out. So for example, cleaning the house, you could break it up by room. Clean the kitchen, clean the bedroom, clean the living room. And if you think about clean the kitchen, even that's not one task. That can be broken down. Mop the floor, do the dishes, wipe the counters. Then you can keep that task deconstruction for the next time that you're going to do that same task, and it will seem less daunting and you'll be more likely to do it. So those are the three tools you need for this system to work. You need the master to-do list, you need the calendar, and you need a place to do task deconstruction. The next part of this episode and the final part is what we call planning time. None of these tools are going to be effective if you don't have planning time. So every day, what you're going to need to do is designate a portion of the day. By portion, I mean 5 to 20 minutes every day to do planning time. You can designate a certain time of day. For example, every day at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do my planning time. Every day at noon, every day at 6 o'clock. Or you can anchor the planning time to a daily reoccurring event. Like every morning right after breakfast, I'm going to do my planning time. Every day as soon as I get home, before I walk the dog, I'm going to do my planning time. And you start making it a habit. You may try one way, and if that's not working, if it turns out to be inconvenient and you find you're not doing the planning time, switch the designated time to do it. There are 4 steps to doing planning time. And keep in mind that right now we are doing an example of, that's right, task deconstruction. We're breaking planning time down into 4 steps that you'll do every day. The first step is to put anything into your calendar that you can think of that you need. I need to make a dinner reservation. I need to call Aunt Mabel about when she's bringing her dog over next Friday. I need to get my oil changed in my car. The other place, besides your head, where you're going to get items to put into your calendar during planning time is the master to-do list. You've been keeping a master to-do list, and you're going to look through there, and anything that you see that can be put into the calendar, you do it. You give it a designated time slot. It's more likely to happen. You can change it, but you need to get it in there. Then you're going to come across some things in your master to-do list that can't just fit into a calendar. There's There's going to be things like apply to a job, or get my taxes done, plan a vacation, things like that. So what are you going to do during your planning time with something like that when you see it in your master to-do list? That's right, you're going to do task deconstruction. You're starting to see how all of the pieces of this puzzle fit together. So you'll spend some time during planning time to break that seemingly overwhelming task down into a series of simple, manageable steps. And then the next step in planning time is to put those steps from the task deconstruction into the calendar. So then the final step of planning time is to just review your calendar. Look and see what you've got coming up that week. Maybe go forward and see what's coming up the next week. Now, if you do these things, if you use this 3-part system and you are using planning time, you're going to see a huge reduction in the problems that ADHD is causing in your life. Your time management is going to be better. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to be less stressed and anxious. You're going to be upsetting people less because you won't be forgetting things or overbooking things. This week, make a commitment that you're going to get these 3 items for your organization system and start incorporating planning time. In the next episode, we're going to focus more on procrastination, what causes procrastination, and different actions, techniques, strategies that you can use to reduce procrastination. And remember, psychology works. This is Dr. Greenaway saying have a great week. We'll see you in the next episode.